I've been watching this game from the sidelines for a while, curious if it could bring something fresh to the kart racing scene. Today we dive into Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. No frills, just raw gameplay footage. You'll see my settings up front, and I'll tell you whether it's more than just a pretty blue blur. Strap in, because we might hit some surprising bumps or boosts. Right at the start, you'll see me dial everything down to low and drop the resolution to 720p. That's the bare minimum but still enjoyable sweet spot for my setup. I tested the demo in single-player mode because, let's be honest, if a game can't survive one racer on a low-end PC, there's no hope for online chaos. With these settings, the game actually held up impressively well. Average FPS hovered around 50, and if I weren't recording in the background, I'm confident it could have pushed a smooth, consistent 60 FPS. For an i3 with integrated graphics, that's basically the equivalent of finding a golden ring in a pile of spikes. Now, yes, running everything on low does come with sacrifices. The textures are noticeably flatter, shadows are minimal, and some effects like particle bursts and reflections are simplified or even absent. But here's the thing, none of that takes away from the sense of speed or the fun. You won't be stopping mid-race to admire the foliage anyway. You'll be too busy trying not to get blasted off the track by someone's gadget. The art direction still shines through even in its low-budget cosplay form, and that's a big win. Loading times were also decent, with tracks booting up quickly enough that I didn't feel like I needed to grab a snack in between. Even with longer sessions, I didn't encounter major stutters, frame drops, or crashes, which tells me the game is pretty well optimized for weaker hardware. Recording gameplay did shave off a few frames here and there, but the fact that it remained fluid enough to enjoy speaks volumes. This isn't one of those cases where the game technically runs, but feels like you're pushing a shopping cart with a broken wheel. This was genuinely smooth, fast, and responsive. So while the visuals aren't maxed out, the performance on this kind of setup absolutely delivers. It proves that Sonic Racing CrossWorlds doesn't need a monster PC to be playable. And honestly, that's half the magic here, getting chaotic fun without the need for an expensive upgrade. Let's start with the positives, because yes, there are many. The controls were the first thing that surprised me. Even on my modest setup, steering felt tight, drifting had just the right amount of slide, and pulling off a boost drift was actually satisfying instead of frustrating. Timing boosts around corners gave me a sense of control that some kart racers don't always nail. Among the vehicles I tried, the speed cars and the hoverboard-style boost rides really stood out. They reward aggressive play styles, the kind where you risk a tricky shortcut and either look like a genius or slam face-first into a wall. Either way, it's entertaining. The map design deserves a lot of credit too. The courses aren't just lazy ovals with a Sonic skin slapped on. They feature transitions between land, flight, and sea, which keeps the races feeling dynamic. One lap you're boosting through neon city streets, the next you're dodging hazards in a water section that feels like it belongs in a different game entirely. Some of the callbacks to classic Sonic locations are nostalgic and fun, though I'll admit there are a few that feel a little too busy. Still, the variety is there, and that's important when you're going to replay tracks over and over. The gadget system is another highlight. It's more than just throw shell, hope it hits. You can actually mix and match gadgets to create builds that suit your playstyle. Want to play defensively? There's a gadget combo for that. Want to lean into chaos and disrupt everyone else's race? Yep, that's there too. It gives the game an extra layer of strategy that rewards experimenting. Though, as I'll touch on in the negatives, once you find a setup that works, it's easy to just stick with it. A small but important tip here. If the default camera feels like the game is dragging its feet, head into settings and enable dynamic camera. It's a night and day difference, adding more speed and intensity to every race. Now, on to what makes the game really stand out. Multiplayer. This is where things get deliciously chaotic. Every online race I joined felt like a mix of skill, luck, and absolute madness, and I mean that in the best way possible. Imagine drifting around a corner, thinking you've got the win locked, only to get blasted by 3 different gadgets in the last 10 seconds. You go from hero to zero instantly, but instead of rage quitting, you just laugh and queue up for the next round. The waiting rooms are also a surprisingly fun detail. You can throw out emotes and interact with other players before the race begins. It doesn't sound like much, but it makes the downtime feel less like staring at a loading screen and more like being in a goofy Sonic-themed lobby party. The customization options are worth highlighting too. It's not just cosmetic fluff. You can tinker with parts, decals, and gadget loadouts to really make a ride that feels yours. I had a blast customizing hoverboards with themes matching my favorite characters. It's the kind of feature that doesn't directly affect gameplay, but adds a personal touch that keeps you invested. Then there's the soundtrack. And wow, this one's going to split opinions. Personally, I enjoyed it. It's energetic, bold, and fits the mood. The fact that you can also swap in classic Sonic tracks through the jukebox is a nice nod to longtime fans. If a new track doesn't click for you, just load up an old favorite and race to that instead. Overall, Sonic Racing CrossWorlds delivers a surprisingly polished and entertaining kart racing experience, especially when you consider that I played it on a very modest low-end setup. The fact that the game managed to stay smooth, responsive, and genuinely fun on an i3 with integrated graphics is already a huge plus. It proves that you don't need a powerhouse rig to enjoy the chaos. Sure, the visuals take a hit at low settings, but the sense of speed, the thrill of overtaking rivals, and the sheer unpredictability of online races more than make up for it. This isn't a flawless game, and I don't want to pretend it is. The pricing is definitely on the higher side. The lack of proper voice lines for a large chunk of the roster feels like a strange oversight, and the grind for tickets in single player can wear thin. Some maps, especially the sea and flight sections, could benefit from tighter controls. But here's the thing, the core gameplay loop is solid. It's fast, it's chaotic, it's fun. And at the end of the day, that's what a racing game should deliver. For me, it sits in that sweet spot where you can jump in for a quick race or lose hours customizing vehicles and battling rivals online. Thanks for sticking through the ride. If you're curious about particular gadgets, vehicle combos, or want to follow up on multiplayer deep dives, ranked, items, meta, etc., I'm game to explore. Until next race, may your boost be strong and your crashes minimal.